Time now for the France 24 debate. Has he delivered? India's Prime Minister in France, nearly a year after his landslide win, where Hindu nationalist BJP leader Narendra Modi promised to put, as he put it, toilets before temples, development before ideology. We'll ask about India's development as they talk nuclear power plants, Rafale fighter jets, and more. Modi's Touts will be quietly inquiring about his pledge to cut down on India's crippling red tape. Can its bureaucracy really be reformed? We'll also talk ideology. If the three-nation tour that also includes Germany and Canada follows the script, loyal followers will flock to catch Modi magic. But there are also controversies with cases of forced conversions of Muslims, beef bans, and possible changes to the national curriculum in subjects like history. How is Modi handling it? And how's India, between China and Pakistan, amid crucial world trade and climate talks, defining itself on the world stage? Today in the France 24 debate, can Modi deliver? With us to talk about it, Eric Mukherjee, Chief Officer, Investment Officer at 21st Capital Business. And I see that you are hosting next Monday here in Paris a conference called "Is It an Impossible Struggle Against," as you put it, demo bureaucracy in India? Did you coin that phrase, demo bureaucracy?
Absolutely. I think the structure in India is so complicated because of, because of 28 states and the caste system and the regional parties and everything. I mean, the cultural history of India, that any leader has to share power much more than anywhere else. And therefore, and you have the rule of law, and therefore changing things is not as easy as, say, Russia or China, and I don't mean to be deprecating with them, but it's harder. It's
harder, and we're gonna broach it with two gentlemen who were with us before the elections and are back now. We're going to take stock of things. I want to welcome back to the show Deepak Rajput,
hello,
a businessman based here in Paris, and also Jean-Joseph Boileau, co-chair of the Euro-India Group. Thank you for joining our conversation. We'll be joined soon by Mihir Sharma, journalist with the Business Standard and author of Restart: The Last Chance for the Indian Economy. The France 24 debate, where you've been weighing in on the conversation on Facebook and Twitter, our hashtag F24Debate. Before taking off for France, the Indian Prime Minister gave a wide-ranging interview. We're going to talk about it in a moment. But obviously, the stopover here in France, it's not just an anecdote on the way to Germany. And I'll start with you, Eric. What is it? Nuclear power is on the agenda. Perhaps, although it seems as though it's not going to happen yet, the sale of those 126 Rafale fighter jets, right, and a host of other possible business ties.
Right. Well, there are a number of possible business ties in the domain of defense. Fact of the matter is that France is one of the foremost arms producers and has reasonable technology in that domain. And the other element is the nuclear technology, where there again France is pretty much ahead in terms of what it has done and what it can do. And that the issue of energy is hugely sensitive for the future of the economy of India. So I guess at least going down that way or exploring it is something that France is a very good partner, can be a very good partner of India for.
And it's a bit of a, Deepak Rajput, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it, nuclear power for India? Because environmentalists say they're worried about it. On the other hand, the Indians and the French, by the way, say, oh, this will cut India's greenhouse emissions.
Well, this is true. But if you look at Japan, there was Fukushima over there, a big accident at a global level. Having said that, afterwards, the Prime Minister in Japan, he took back the Japanese nuclear policy and brought it back what it was before Fukushima. Prime Minister Modi has made clear recently that nuclear power in India is going to be the future, and it's going to be there so as to support India in its claim to have a cleaner energy. And I think as we approach the month of December, we're going to discuss United Nations Conference of Parties for the Climate Change. We'll have to see that how India is on the road to achieve its clean energy missions. It's true that
Is this the big prize of this trip?
we cannot say because, of course, there has been discussion going on with Areva and India and partners for a long time, but there are some price issues. I believe what newspapers are saying. Those issues need to be resolved. I believe there's political agreement. Now, that political agreement at the highest level needs to be translated into operational agreement among the different stakeholders, and that's going to be a challenge.
Jean-Joseph Boileau, what are you expecting from this visit?
Well, I expect that the two countries understand each other better. On the French side, you have seen the press. Everybody is talking about the Rafale 126. And this is not well perceived in India. India Prime Minister priority is make in India. And Modi has decided to come to France and Germany on this issue. Make in India. I want to attract 126 industrial projects. We talk only about these Dassault, Rafale, about the nuclear, but who are really active in India today? Renault, Saint-Gobain, Lafarge, in the solar power. We have a very, very effective company, the lowest bid the last 2 years by Direct Solar, etc. This is the renewable energy. And it's not true that Modi has decided that the nuclear energy would be the priority. He has announced a month ago that solar energy would be the priority. So I expect from this visit that this a little bit misunderstanding between both countries will be solved. And I'm very happy that President Hollande has said to everybody, stop, calm down about the Rafale. They are negotiating. There are a lot of discussion about this issue. But we have to understand that France is the third strategic partner of India. Don't forget that. After what? After US and after Russia. So France has to keep that level. And for that, he has to enter into the Make in India priorities. Not only Modi. This is the Indian population at large, want to develop and to industrialize.
And Jean-Joseph, we know François Hollande's already made one trip to India since he was elected. What can we say about the chemistry between two very, very different men?
No, not at all. You remember last year I compared François Hollande to Ganesh. I'll stick to that. He is around, he is not. Modi is not Ganesh. True. Modi is, following this sentence, Raja Raj, Parja Chain. He's the guy who follow the political principle established in India 3rd century before Christ, which is Artha Shastra. So they are different men, but they are Indian to a large extent. And Modi is French. You see, the shoot he had when he visited the USA could have been made by Chanel, isn't it? Wonderful shoot with this golden thread. Okay, so don't oppose the two men. They are very much complementary, and I think they will really discuss openly this time.
All right, let's bring in Mihir Sharma of the Business Standard. Would you agree Modi could be French?
If he's French, I think he's a lot more Nicolas Sarkozy than François Hollande, I must say. He's a very driven man. He's a very divisive man, and he has a lot of the virtues and some of the flaws that President Sarkozy had.
And give it to us straight, Mihir. Is this trip to France important as such, or is it just the appetizer before you go on to Germany?
I don't think that Germany is that important either. To tell you the truth, I fear that Europe was last on the Prime Minister's agenda. And he is basically filling in the time. He's completing his G7, his G8 visits. Or his meetings with the individual meetings with G8 leaders. That's in fact what the Ministry of External Affairs told journalists. What Prime Minister Modi is essentially looking for is large pools of investable money that will come into India and set up giant special economic zones which will industrialize the country. And I think he looks at Europe and says it's not coming from there.
Interesting. Before taking off for France, Narendra Modi granting a rare interview with the Hindustan Times. In it, he addressed the question that's near and dear to Eric Mukherjee's heart, which is bureaucracy. He said, when we say get rid of red tape, that does not mean get rid of it for business magnate Mukesh Ambani, but keep it for a common man. That won't do. So he's promising to slash red tape. And as we were saying at the outset, Eric, you're wary of whether or not he can achieve that.
Yeah, I think you have to qualify that a little bit. There's a lot of red tape at the administrative level, and he can get rid of that. But see, there's this, I don't know how to call it, this politicracy, which is this whole heap of different large and small interests and parties and.
Okay, let me ask you a concrete question here on this. How easy is it for those French business leaders he's going to have breakfast with on Friday to make their visa applications simpler?
That's going to be much simpler. That's one thing that's going to be much simpler because in actual fact the part for the common man could be simpler, and there's one slant of Modi that is very strong, and well, if he succeeds, it'll be very interesting. Is his slant towards information technology? You know, he wants to wire 1 million villages for free with an internet connection for everybody and so on, and he wants a lot of things to be done through the internet, and
he wants them, but is it doable?
I think that's fairly doable. I think that's fairly doable.
He has his experience from the Gujarat.
Exactly.
He was chief minister of Gujarat for 10 years. He has done some initiative based on the internet, linking villages office in Gujarat via internet. The scale over India will be very different from what he experienced in Gujarat. Now that will be a challenge. It has to be seen whether he can replicate his Gujarat administrative experience to do things at the national level. The balls are rolling in terms of passage of some of the...
But Deepak, we know a thing or two about bureaucracy in this country. It's very hard to downsize it.
Even the finance minister, he acknowledged this thing, but they're working towards, let's say, ease of doing business in India. I hope, concretely speaking, India improves its rank of the ease of doing business, which at the moment I think it's 134, something like that, very bad.
It's pretty low.
And the latest ranking coming out from the World Bank, very low indeed.
Yeah, 144. Yeah, true. No, don't forget that Gujarat has been for 10 years the laboratory of Modi rule, kind of. Now, in 1 year only, visiting Delhi many times, I've seen the change in the bureaucracy. And the IAS officer, who are really the problem, sorry to tell, they are the problem, like the NARC in France. They have changed their way of thinking. And those who work with Modi are very happy because they are not only in command, they are in responsibility. And what was wrong with the present regime is that no high officer was in command. They were just hiding. I don't want to take responsibility. Modi is developing this culture of responsibility. So for 1 year, the experience has not been so bad.
Mihir Sharma, do you have the same experience?
I think that it's definitely the case that IAS officers are feeling a little bit more empowered under this administration than they were under the previous one. However, I do not share the optimism that he will be able to use the IAS at the national level, the administrative, the bureaucrats at the national level, the same way that he used bureaucrats in Gujarat. In Gujarat, he had the cream of the crop. At the national level, he has to use everyone. He will struggle unless he launches major administrative reform that opens up the bureaucracy to new ideas, to people from outside. It's a small, very insular, very backward-looking bureaucracy we have here. He has to change that. But the truth is, he relies on the IAS a lot more than many economic reformers should.
All right, so
here, I just want to make one point out here. So in the same Hindustan Times interview, Mr. Modi stated that he has asked the key officer with whom he works, to go and visit the first places from where they started their career and check what changes has happened in their career and that specific places. So he's working with the bureaucracy. He also has Steve with the bureaucracy as well. Now, this is true that the impact that he has over the bureaucracy is limited just to the number of people that he works closely in the central government. Mr. Mayor is right over there. The Indian bureaucracy at large is difficult to manage, as Eric has been saying. It's intelligent bureaucracy. It understands quite a lot. The action, I believe, is missing, which someone like Mr. Modi needs to come forward and make it work.
No, that's the similarity. I don't know if there's a similarity between Narendra Modi and François Hollande, but I definitely think there is a similarity between the psyche and the culture and the working of France and India. There's this worship for knowledge, for degrees, and the high administration in France is very similar to the high administration in India. And
One big difference, though. One big difference.
What is it?
That the senior levels of the French bureaucracy, I think, will be a lot friendlier and a lot open to suggestions from senior levels of the French private sector.
Not our experience.
No, sir, they're exactly the same. Frankly, from
you have a revolving door. We don't.
And please don't compare France to India. India is a continent.
But Jean-Joseph, you were saying, hang on, you were saying a moment ago that in France at least, the high civil servants are empowered, respected, and make decisions. Whereas you were saying the problem up to now in India was nobody had responsibility.
So this had changed. But what I wanted to say that in India you have 29 states. And the main problem is not at the federal level. The main problem is at the state level. And the method of Modi is very interesting. He has opened the competition between each state. And I have seen the result. Now they are competing, BR against Gujarat. Everybody was complaining about this campaign of Modi, Gujarat, I want India to become like Gujarat. Now there's an eye-open competition. And I'm expecting with this competition that the quality, let's say, of the bureaucracy overall in the country will improve. It's not a bad methodology.
We'll put that to our panel when we come back. Stay with us. I want to thank Jean-Joseph. You're expected, I know, on sister station Radio France International. But stay with us. We're going to put it to the rest of our panel when we come back. You're watching the France 24 debate.